I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Carangelo.
Here.
Mrs. Chu. Mr. Sismar.
Here.
Mrs. Guas.
Here.
Mr. Hahn.
Here.
Mrs. Lax.
Here.
Mrs. Reese.
Here.
Mr. Winston.
Here.
President Becker.
Here, we have a quorum. Please rise to salute the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published at the Board of Education offices. Written notice was also provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star Ledger, the Home News and Tribune, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive discussions, are videotape-related broadcasts, and individuals who speak at the board's public meetings should be aware of these videotaping rules. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will start off with the superintendent's report. Dr. Valesky?
Thank you, President Becker, and good evening to everyone. The artwork on display in the boardroom this evening was created by students from Irwin Elementary School. The art teacher of these talented students is Brooke Servan, and Joanne Chmielewicz is the principal. I had the opportunity to attend the high school's annual activity fair. About 50 clubs were represented. The event was held outdoors around the perimeter of the building during extended homeroom. This allowed more students to explore available clubs in a safe outdoor setting. The first full week of October is designated as a week of respect. Respect Week is observed by the entire school community to recognize the importance of character education, anti-bullying messages, promoting acceptance and diversity, as well as positive behaviors in all our schools. This year, the district theme focused on, "If we stand together, no one stands alone." The Hammersholt sixth grade students embarked on the annual Dallenbach field trip during the week of October 4th. The field trip allowed students and parents to explore a local ecosystem and observe the ecological concepts studied in class. Sixth grade science teachers led 4 stations addressing layers of the forest, erosion, soil, and aquatic ecosystems to reinforce key topics in the 6th grade ecology unit. A special thanks to the 6th grade science teachers for planning the trip and providing engaging experiences for students and parents alike. Additionally, I'd like to thank Michael Reisner in the East Brunswick Parks and Recreation Department for preparing Dallenbach for our visit and assisting with student accommodations. In the month of October, each of our elementary schools, in partnership with Keep Middlesex Moving, is hosting a Walk to School Day. The goal is to teach children in Middlesex County the importance of walking safely and the benefits of walking as a means to get places, exercise, and help the environment. In sports, Coach Kevin Brady received his 400th, I say it again, 400th girls soccer win. The girls soccer team won the red division by going undefeated in the division. Naomi Karki is playing in the state semifinal for girls tennis this Saturday, and the individual state final is Sunday, so best of luck to Naomi. Many of our other fall teams are on the cusp of also winning the red division, and they are gymnastics, field hockey, girls volleyball, and girls tennis. Congratulations to them all. What a great season. It has been a great fall, and the athletic department is looking forward to the GMC and state tournaments. Good luck to all the teams, and we hope for great things, and be sure to check the schedule at ebnet.org/athletics schedules to support the Bears. Go Bears. Thank you to the teams who have participated in wearing pink in the month of October for breast cancer awareness. And congratulations to our September High School Athletes of the Month. Students were selected for this honor by the coaching staff based on performance, demonstration of leadership, effort in practice, and of course, for modeling exceptional character. Just a few reminders. Parent-teacher conferences will take place on Tuesday, October 19th through Friday, October 22nd. These are single-session days with lunch served for grades kindergarten through seventh. I'm sorry, it's hard with a mask. Schools will be closed Monday, November 1st through Friday, November 5th. On this evening's agenda is a resolution of proclamation for National Principals Month. I am proud to recognize the critical instructional leadership of our principals and secondary assistant principals. We appreciate their dedication and commitment to their students and, of course, the community of East Brunswick. And off the script, my personal thanks, especially in this environment where the work of a principal has exponentially changed as we've all recovered from hybrid instruction and everybody's back in school. It's changed the dynamic of how our schools operate, and I congratulate each of them for being flexible and adaptable as we've moved from day to day to make sure that students are safe and that we are doing everything in our power to make sure that our students are receiving a really high quality instruction in this environment. So thank you. Also on this evening's agenda is a resolution of proclamation for Fire Prevention Week, which was October 3rd through the 9th. The theme this year is Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety. And we are grateful to Fire Marshals John Talbot and Sean Verdi, the Fire Prevention Bureau, and all the volunteer firefighters who come into our schools to present educational programs to our students. Each year, East Brunswick's Fire Prevention Bureau collaborates with our art teachers in grades K to 5 to sponsor a fire safety poster contest. And again, special thanks to the fire department. We had a small issue here yesterday with smell in the building. And we had the fire department's finest and their trucks all arrive. And it was pretty exciting for a few minutes, but fortunately it was nothing major. I would like to take this opportunity to update the community on our turf status and replacement. And we have, through an investigation and through professional assessment, learned that excessive rain that was caused by Hurricanes Henri and Ida were a factor. The field's underground stormwater system did work as designed, but the rainfall greatly exceeded the design parameter required by state and local regulations. And the excess water created a back pressure situation on the storm drainage system, and that was under the turf. And as a result, the turf expanded and then developed creases. And then when the pressure decreased, it was the equivalent of inflating a balloon and then letting the air out. And those creases became a problem. That left the turf unstable and, in their opinion, unplayable. Is a tripping hazard and unsafe. Our decision to close the fields is validated by this professional inspection. The process for replacing the fields began soon after the damage occurred, and the replacement will not require a referendum. This will be funded through the operating budget of the district. And I'll continue to keep the community updated as we solidify the time frame for each next step in the replacement process. I do want to address some rumors that have appeared recently that Snapple, the drink company, had agreed to pay for a variety of athletic facility improvements. We have no current offer from Snapple Beverage Company, and we're unable to verify at this date any past offers that would have been made to the district. And in fact, we've been in direct contact with Snapple, their corporate offices, and trying to track down if anyone is aware or has documentation if an offer was ever approved by Snapple. And at this time, we don't have that information. We don't have any evidence that that ever happened. And then finally, for our COVID update, please keep your school-aged children home if they are sick or any member of your immediate family is sick until we can help you rule out that the children are not positive for COVID. Your child's school nurse will help you and answer your questions about next steps. This is critically important since all of our positive COVID cases so far have originated outside of school and been brought into school. This has resulted in quarantines of students and staff that could have been prevented. I'm going to say that again. This has resulted in quarantines of students and staff that could have been prevented. And please partner with us to keep our classrooms and schools open by keeping sick children home. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Valesky. Next on our agenda, as Dr. Valesky mentioned, we do have two resolutions of recognition, and what I'd like to do is combine them and ask for a motion and second so that we don't interrupt the flow of reading the resolutions. I'll ask for any discussion as part of the formal process, but I promise that I will ask again for discussion after the resolutions are read if any board member wants to make any remarks. So can I please have a motion for item 1, fire recognition of Fire Prevention Week, and item 2, recognition of National Principals Month?
So moved.
Moved by Jeff, second by Lee Wu. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. I'd like to ask Heather to please join Dr. Valesky and read the resolution about Fire Prevention Week.
Do you have?
Yep, she's got it.
I have this, and I have what you're handing me.
Okay. Sorry, we have a duplicate.
Center stage.
We're standing.
Don't give me.
I just follow directions.
Please read the letter. Thank you.
All right, a resolution of proclamation for Fire Prevention Week. Move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas, according to the National Fire Protection Association, this year's Fire Prevention Week campaign is Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety. Works to educate everyone about the different sounds the smoke and carbon monoxide alarms make. Knowing what to do when an alarm sounds will keep you and your family safe. When an alarm makes noises, a beeping sound, or a chirping sound, you must take action. Whereas East Brunswick's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, and whereas committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our town, including our educational community, the East Brunswick schools welcome East Brunswick's fire and emergency services personnel into our schools to educate our students. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education recognizes October 3rd through 9th, 2021 as Fire Prevention Week and encourages all the people of East Brunswick to heed the important safety messages of Fire Prevention Week 2021 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the East Brunswick Fire and Emergency Services. And be it further resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education appreciates the efforts of East Brunswick's Fire and Emergency Services personnel to make our community a safe place in which we live.
And Dr.
do you want-
Valesky, who do we have with us
Do you want
tonight?
to announce? Okay.
Accepting?
We have John Talbot.
We have
and-
John
And
Talbot.
for Sean Verdi, we have.
Please come up and join.
We have John Talbot, Assistant Chief Scott Anderson, and Lieutenant Jackie Gloss.
Jackie, congratulations. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything you do.
As the Fire Prevention Week, learn the sounds of fire safety, what your alarm is telling you. Everyone in the house should now have smoke detectors on every level, a carbon monoxide detector. They make different sounds. We go in houses a lot that they don't know what that sound is. Know what the sound makes so you know what kind of emergency you might have. Throughout the month, we've been in the schools doing the kindergarten program. They've assisted with the first through fifth grade assembly programs. We'll be back to the kitchen programs for the foods starting in November. And in February, the fire districts 1 and 2 got voter approval to purchase a new fire safety trailer where we use it to third grade in April. So it will be, hopefully this April, it should be done by December. It's a longer, bigger trailer that's going to hopefully accommodate in one level rather than two. If any of you have been in the trailer, you got to crawl low on the 2 levels of it. Now it's 1 level, so we should get many more years out of that. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Would anyone like to say anything? Well, I would like to just say the word hero has been used a lot the last few years, and I have to tell you that the first responders, the volunteer fire people, you are my heroes, and I believe that most of us would share that sentiment. You truly do work that is completely unselfish for the safety of others, and that's my definition of a hero. And we can't thank you enough for what you do to keep us all safe. It's one reason that we can sleep at night and go off to work and send our children to school and go about our jobs, knowing that you are doing your job. We owe you an enormous debt of gratitude that can never be paid. Thank you so much. And now we have a resolution for some of our own internal heroes. Lori, would you please join Victor and read the National Principals Month resolution? Thank you.
Move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas schools inspire the next generation of professionals, political leaders, artists, educators, and others who contribute to a healthy and prosperous society, and whereas principals and assistant principals are responsible for providing instructional leadership and professional management in our schools, and whereas principals and assistant principals set the academic tone for their schools and work collaboratively with teachers to develop and maintain high curriculum standards, set performance goals and objectives, and ensure high-quality instruction. And whereas school principals and assistant principals are responsible for the safety of their students and staff and the security of the school, and whereas principals and assistant principals are key to implementing state and federal education reforms in New Jersey, and whereas the month of October 2021 has been declared National Principals Month and is dedicated to recognizing the significant contributions of our nation's principals and assistant principals and the enthusiasm they have for providing quality educational experiences and guidance to their students. And whereas the East Brunswick Board of Education recognizes and appreciates the skills, dedication, and commitment of its principals and assistant principals and the challenges they face daily. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education recognizes and commends its principals and assistant principals for their continued service to our children.
Dr. Valesky, who do we have tonight?
We have Russ Petronko, assistant principal from the high school. Russ, you want to come up? Christian Naza, assistant principal at the high school. Joe Satari, principal of Warnsdorf Elementary School.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Dunn, principal of Lawrencebrook Elementary School. Tom Husar, principal of Central Elementary School. Cheryl Jones, principal of Memorial Elementary School. Thanks, Cheryl.
Miss me? I missed you.
Ron Lieberman, principal of Bow Monroe Elementary School.
And spread out on the other side.
I know, I showered.
Christine Shea, principal of Chittick Elementary School. And I promise this wasn't an age order. Loretta Payette, principal of Frost Elementary School. That's right, the youngest go last. And we have others that we're going to honor as well, but could not be with us tonight, and we congratulate them as well.
On the back, I don't have my glasses on. Am I wrong?
No, I don't see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I see Andy Scanlon.
Oh, I'm sorry, Andy. I thought
Yeah.
I have no glasses.
Was there is there a photo opportunity coming? Okay, so maybe another one.
Oh, then they have to stand next to me.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you.
Are there any board members who would like to address? Barbara, then Mark? Okay. And Lori? Thank you.
I just want to echo what's been said, how thankful we are to the principals and assistant principals of the schools here in East Brunswick. You set the tone for the kids, for the buildings. You make a warm and caring environment for our kids to learn in, and we know how difficult it has been. Like we spoke about heroes, you're our hometown heroes here in East Brunswick for making school a special place despite an unprecedented time. So thank you so much.
And when I think of principals, and I guess most people know this, but the principal is asked to do everything. From the most mundane of tasks to an emergency situation with our kids, it's always, where's the principal? You know, and just the vast array of knowledge that a principal has to possess to take care of our most precious commodity, which is our children, amazes me on a daily basis. And yes, you have teachers and you have other staff, but, you know, I've learned something called speed of the leader, speed of the pack. And when you have a solid principal, which we have in every one of our schools, it shows. And, you know, like I said, you're asked every question. And I haven't seen a principal yet in our district that didn't have the answer. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you folks do every day. Thank you.
Lori, did you say you wanted to say, and then anybody else?
Yes,
And
ditto.
then Lori, then Leo.
To what they both said, and I say this, and I know I'm a broken record, but it amazes me because it wasn't that long ago. But, which is why I can't see, and I apologize, Annie, because I forgot my glasses. But one of the things that amazes me is all of that is true, but one of my favorite parts, and especially at our elementary level, but even up to Dr. Vanella, what's amazing is that you guys do everything you do at the building level, and you are rock stars to the kids. It never amazes me how these kids want to have lunch with their elementary principals, how they'll stalk Dr. Vanella in the hallway to chat with him. At graduation, they beam. So I think it's just so wonderful, because when I was growing up, the principal was someone you didn't want to know, because if you knew the principal, you were in trouble. And I was a goody-goody, so I didn't know my principals. But to me, as I said, you know, everything you do, but, you know, I'm sure it warms your heart, because it warms my heart to see it, how much these kids look up to you and respect you, because we all know how difficult your jobs are. But you're doing something right, because you're obviously doing all of that and the disciplinary things, but you are still, you know, superstars to these kids, and so thank you.
Leo?
Yes. So I had the privilege and the honor to visit high school and Memorial Elementary School 10 days ago. This gave me the opportunity to see those two principals, Dr. Vanilla and Ms. Jones, how great they are, how hard they are working, how important they to their school and to this community. I should say, you know, Dr. Velasquez and your principals are the cornerstone of East Brunswick Public School. There's no word can express my appreciation. You know, your daily job, you know, is 7/24. So every day is 365 days a year. I don't know. I can tell you I cannot do this job. It's for you. You are specially made for this job. Thank you.
Jeff?
Yeah, the principals, and it's great because I've had personal involvement with so many in this room because of 5 kids. Petranco, right? Yeah, you knew all of them. And I'll tell you what's interesting. A lot of parents come to me and say, what do I do on this issue? And the first thing I do is to send them to administration of their school. And none of them ever come back. None of them ever said he didn't listen or she didn't listen. I don't know how you do it. You have a lot of kids in your school, and a lot of issues pop up. So I'm in awe of your job. I always have been. Back when I went to Warrenstoffer with Mr. Sorry, yeah, you're taking care of my alma mater. Thank you. The school looks great. And I appreciate your work.
personally and professionally. I just think it's absolutely awesome what you do. So thank you so much.
Anyone else? Well, seeing none, there's nothing I can add that hasn't been said tonight, except to say that you are indeed our district's heroes, and to give you a standing ovation. Yes, Dana, that was for you.
Dana just came from a vaccination clinic run by. It was amazing. Yeah.
We're going to take a very brief recess now. And those of you who have kids and want to get them home, and I know the principals have a lot of paperwork waiting for them. Thank you for coming again. We're in a short recess. Okay, we're still up to the good of the cause for the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. To protect the privacy of all students and staff, concerns regarding individual students and staff members should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff. Participants shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the board tonight? I see 2 gentlemen. You can each take a turn coming up to the podium, please. And if you wouldn't mind stating your name and address for the record, thank you so much.
Good evening. My
And
name is
welcome.
John Mataseski, 8 Dalston Street. I'm here on behalf of the 40-plus girls and their parents who play for the high school softball team. I know the field at the stadium has been the topic of discussion at the last board meeting, and deservedly so, but I wanted to make the board also aware of the facility inequity between the fields that the boys' baseball teams play on versus what the girls' softball team plays on. This way, maybe a plan can be created to not only solve the softball issue that I'm going to speak to, as well as whatever is being done for the football field in the stadium. Approximately 15 years ago, 2 brand-new baseball fields were built at the high school for the boys' baseball team. They showed a picture of it there, included the football field as well as the 2 baseball fields. The varsity field, state-of-the-art field, new turf, dugouts, lights, fences. JV field, also a real good field, dugouts, fences, warning tracks, maintained grass infield and outfield. In contrast, the girls' softball fields are basically the same fields for the last 30 years. There's been no work or little or no improvements. The girls' field is really a disgrace. It's an embarrassment to the girls, and it's essentially unsafe. I invite any board members to come down and look at the field. You could tell right away. First and foremost, there's a wooded area down the first baseline along Summerhill Road. There's approximately 10 to 15 foul balls that go over there each game. The girls spend their time tracking down foul balls. I got video of it. I'm happy to show anybody what happens. This happens all during the game. So there's players constantly going into the woods. Who knows what could happen when they go into the woods. Balls go over towards Summerhill Road. There's nothing to block the balls from going over there. And the coaches are constantly sending girls over there to get the balls. The benches where the players sit, there's nothing more than a bench. There's no coverings. Girls' equipment gets wet. They get wet. There's no shade from the sun. There's no dugouts. There's nothing but a bench. There's a slope of foul territory with a drain. Okay, if the ball is hit down the first baseline, girls will have to run down a hill, possibly fall into the drain and hurt themselves. There's an outfield fence that's used as a temporary fence for softball. The fence is falling down in spots. It's a short fence. It's got posts on it, and the ball can skid underneath the fence. I'm not sure why these things were never addressed 15 years ago when the boys' baseball fields were built, but the girls' softball fields have never been addressed, and I'm not sure why. People say that this even is a Title IX issue. The facilities are very inequitable between boys and girls softball, boys' baseball and girls' softball. I think short-term, a lot of these things, or some of these things can be done, and I think the softball season's 5 months away, and I think if some of these things can be done, a net or a fence to protect the ball from going over into the woods, coverings for the benches, a new outfield fence, or just working with the township to play some games at Heavenly Farms. We've got a beautiful softball field there.
30 seconds.
Yep. Or the EBBL complex, working with them. I mean, I've talked to the EBBL, Jim Logan. He's happy to host some games if need be. You know, I know Mike Reisner would be sure to do the same. And I just want a plan. I haven't heard anything about a plan for softball, and I just felt it needed to be addressed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming tonight to speak to us, sir. Good evening.
Alexander Spielman, 6 Douglas Road. First, I wanted to say good evening to President Becker and to the superintendent and all the members of the board. I have a question or a concern considering the number 4 on the financial agenda, which deals with the capital reserve withdrawal, which involves Churchill and the high school. Naturally, I normally don't deal with the school board and a lot of things, but this actually comes from something that happens within the town council, from my understanding, when it comes to the redevelopment plan they're dealing with over at Lowens Plaza. With that plan, they're talking about a pilot program of 30 years, which affects, which is slated to assumably bring in hundreds, if not thousands, of new prospective students within once that is completed. The reason I bring up Churchill and the high school is because there are discussion about potentially bringing temporary fixtures in Churchill, which would affect the high school. Particularly, there is talk about the high school eventually becoming a 4-year school versus it currently being a 3-year. With the amount of pressure that the junior high school would have with the amount of trailers that is talked about. My concern for this is how this is going to affect traffic in Churchill with the amount of trailers that may be happening there, how this is eventually potentially cause the potential building of a new high school. And particularly, there is a rule within New Jersey which says if you have a temporary fixture, you must have a permanent solution. And this is what I've been hearing is potentially the permanent solution, which is we're going to cause an issue within Churchill, and eventually that permanent fixture is going to be the new high school, which has been talked about for many, many years. Especially, this also includes what's happening with the stadium and all the other things that would have to do with the maintenance of all these different things. So that's my general concern, is how this is going to affect the parents and the students of not just the upper schools, but also in lower grades, because there is also talk about them going from preschool to 4th and moving 5th to Hammersholt 5, 6.
30 seconds.
And that's just my general concern, is for the board to be aware of this, the parents to be aware of this, and to, of course, do your own due diligence and, vet anything I say, because, this can all just be of a rumor, but I wish to just make people aware of this if this may be actually the case. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and as is our practice, Karen Mandler, could you just raise your hand in the back row? If you would make sure you give Karen your contact information. Dr. Valesky, will you please make sure that someone gets back to this gentleman with the answers to his questions?
We absolutely will.
Thank you. Thank you again for coming to speak tonight.
Actually, to both gentlemen that spoke tonight.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't extend that to you, and forgive me. Karen Mandler, 2 rows in back of you. We will get you an answer, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
Good
Hi.
evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Wilbur Pan. I live at 223 Milltown Road. So I'm a pediatric oncologist. I've been on faculty at Robert Wood Johnson Medical School for about 18 years, up until a few years ago. And about half that time I spent being in charge of pediatric medical education for the medical school. I wanted to bring some information to you guys in case that you weren't aware of it, because the schools has been in session for a little bit over a month now. There's been a lot of talk about the mask requirement, et cetera. So at the end of September, there were 2 studies that were published in the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report that the CDC puts out. First study was done in Arizona, in Maricopa and Pima counties, which covers about 75% of the state's population between those two. And what they did was they looked at the schools, and they divided the schools into three groups. There were schools that were called early mask requirements, meaning when school opened, all the kids had to wear masks, which is what we have here. There are schools that have no mask requirement at all. And there are schools that started the school year without a mask requirement, and then they decided to implement it. What they found out was that if you had a school with no mask requirement, then the chances of a school-associated COVID outbreak were 3.5 times higher than the ones where the school started out with a mask requirement. Excuse me. And as you might guess, the schools that were in between were in between there. But that's pretty good data to support the idea that these mask requirements are actually effective. The second study was nationwide, and they looked at counties where the county had a mask requirement or did not have a mask requirement. Now, to understand this study, you have to think a little bit and take a look at the rates of COVID infections among kids, and realize that when school starts, you're going to see a bump in that in COVID infections because the kids are now mixing up with each other in school. So what they saw was that counties with mask requirements had a lower bump in cases per capita compared to counties that did not. And this wasn't an insignificant difference. The counties that had mask requirements had about half the COVID cases, half the increase in COVID cases compared to counties that did not have these mask requirements. Current CDC guidance for a long time and the American Academy of Pediatrics guidance calls for masking in K through 12. And so I just wanted to bring this up so that you guys knew that if there was any question as to whether or not our policy was effective, the data seems to completely support that. So thanks for being having the foresight to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming tonight and sharing that with us. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak to the board tonight? Seeing none, I will close the public portion and we will move on to our agenda items. On our Board of Education items, before I ask to combine items 1 and 2, is there anything anyone wants separated out? Lori?
one.
I'm so sorry?
Number 1.
Okay, so we'll take it one at a time. Can I please have a motion for item 1, minutes September 23rd?
So moved.
Moved by Jeff, second by Lee Wu. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? One abstention? Motion carries. Can I please have a motion for items 2, policies, first reading?
So moved.
Moved by Lori?
Second.
Second by Mark. Is there any, Mark 2, is there any discussion? Will Secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Colangelo?
Yes.
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mrs. Gloss?
Yes.
Mr. Hahn?
Yes.
Mrs. Lex?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Winston?
Yes.
President Becker?
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to our curriculum and instruction agenda, before I ask for motion to combine items 1 through 3, is there anything anyone wants separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 3 on our curriculum agenda?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Lori, second by Lee Wu. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Moving on to our financial services agenda, before I ask for a motion to combine items 1 through 14, is there anything anyone wants separated out? Barbara?
13.
Barbara would like 13 separated out?
Well, yes, it's, I guess it could, or,
No, you don't have to separate that out, you
No.
just would abstain.
abstain.
Just
Okay.
Barbara,
abstain
you'll
on
just
13.
abstain.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, then can I please have, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 14?
So moved.
Moved by Lori?
Second.
Second by Mark, 2. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Colangelo?
Yes.
Mrs. Chu?
Yes.
Mr. Sismar?
Yes.
Mrs. Gloss?
Yes.
Mr. Hahn?
Yes.
Mrs. Lax?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes, except for item 13, I abstain.
Noted. Mr. Winston,
Yes.
and President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to our human resources agenda, before I ask for a motion to combine items 1 and 2, is there anything anyone wants separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 and 2 on our human resources agenda? Moved by Jeff?
Second.
Second by Heather. Is there any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Colangelo.
Yes.
Mrs. Chu.
Yes.
Mr. Sizemore.
Yes.
Mrs. Gloss.
Yes.
Mr. Hong.
Yes.
Mrs. Lex.
Same.
Abstain. Noted. Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mr. Winston.
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Before I ask for a motion to combine items 1 and 2 on the staff development agenda, is there anything anyone wants separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 and 2?
So moved.
Moved by Lori, second by Jeff. Is there any discussion?
I was going to say.
Yes, yes, Barbara.
I just wanted to commend the folks that are bringing in, artfully and authentically supporting students' social, emotional development. So through art and music, we had talked about this, how it's art and music is a, natural partner with bringing around social and emotional well-being. And I'm so happy that we're able to do this and I was looking up this person, Carrie Sullivan. She's a local person and she has a lot of talents in many different artistic areas. So thank you to Dr. Bowley and to the folks bringing this in.
Thank you, Barbara. Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Moving on to our student services agenda, before I ask for a motion to combine items 1 through 4, is there anything anyone wants separated out? Seeing none, can I please have a motion for items 1 through 4?
So moved.
Moved by Lori?
Second.
Second by Mark Colangelo. Is there any discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Colangelo.
Yes.
Mrs. Chu.
Yes.
Mr. Sizemore.
Yes.
Mrs. Gloss.
Yes.
Mr. Hong.
Yes.
Mrs. Lex.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mr. Winston.
Yes.
President Becker.
Yes, motion carries. Now we're up to committee reports, information items, and for the good of the cause for the board, we do not have our student rep with her tonight, but we wish her well, and we look forward to her next report. I'd like to just start out, first of all, by wishing a very happy birthday to our own Susanna. Susanna, I know it's hard being the oldest member of the board, but I know. You wear it so well. Happy birthday.
Thank you. I turned 30 today, so it's a big 3-0.
30.
Barbara, that means we're 25.
It's interesting, and your children's age keeps decreasing
Thank you.
also. Yes, you're
Yeah.
down to having a 5-year-old, right?
That's
It's a beautiful
My
thing.
5-year-old cooked dinner for me tonight. That's why I was late, so.
These kindergartners today are so precocious. It's amazing what they're capable of. We wish you many, 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 many,
Thank
many,
you.
many, many happy more.
Thank you very much.
I also would like to thank Dana Zambicki and the East Brunswick Education Association and the Pride Committee for hosting a debate of the candidates running for the Board of Ed this year. As always, we couldn't ask for a better partner. And we appreciate the opportunity you always provide for the community to get to know the candidates. So thank you so much. Anyone else? Anything for the good of the cause? Liwu?
Yes. So on the 4th of October, 10 days ago, I observed 2 AP classes in high school. I want to thank Dr. Vlasky, Dr. Bowley, and our science department chair, Jessica, for your help. You know, after the block scheduling, I want to know how our students get used to it and how our teachers get used to it. So that's why I take my day off and I sit in the classroom. You know, so the first class I observed is AP Physics, and second is AP Chemistry. So I'm really, really impressed. I had a physics major in my college and a chemistry major in my graduate school. So the content our students are learning is very competitive. I'm so proud of them. They can handle it so well. And I'm very impressed by the new textbook using by the AP chemistry. The content and the pictures, they're so helpful, and I like this, the new textbook. So that's why in our last curricular committee meeting, I told Dr. Bodis that if possible, we need to do our best to bring our textbook to the current. So it's not acceptable for our children use a textbook 20 years old. Then after that, I visited the memorial school. So I want to thank Bernie for the 21st classroom. The children, the teacher like that classroom furniture so well, so they want more. And then I observed the lunch. I want to know how the lunch was served. The kindergartner, the first grader, they are so lovely. They well behaved. I can tell they are so happy during the lunch break. So after I came home, I told my wife that I want to have more children. They are so adorable. And then,
What'd she say?
My
What
wife
was the
said,
answer?
my wife said, you already have 8,000 students. You treat them all as your children. I said, that's true, but they are so lovely. I encourage all board members to go to them.
Not to have more children.
I'm so proud of them. That's why I want to appreciate all the principals, all the teachers, school aid, lunch aid. They did fabulous job. Thank them. Thank you.
Lewu, that was so well said, and so now we know the reason why your wife was seen leaving town with quite a few sets of luggage. And remind me to avoid Memorial School. That was beautifully said. Thank you. Susanna.
Yes, I have a report. But before I say that, Liwu almost scared me because I thought he was going to say he was encouraging all board members to have more kids. And I'm like,
That's why I said
I
I'm
might be
staying away
30,
from all the
but
schools that we've done.
that's quite a tall order. So I just want to let everybody know East Brunswick Human Relations Council is having the 5th annual Unity Walk on October 25th. So encourage everybody to come out. It's a great opportunity. It'll be a short program and then a walk around the pond at the Municipal Center. So it's 5:30, October 25th. So please come out, join us. It's a chance for us to, a Monday, chance for us to just come together as a community, show our support for one another. So thank you.
Thank you. Barbara?
I just wanted to say thank you for EB Day. We had quite an experience. Vicki and myself were there, and it was a lovely day, and the township ran a beautiful day. It's for those that are not familiar with EB Day, it has local businesses and nonprofits, and I want to specifically thank our teachers and our administrators who came on their day off to come to EB Day and to represent our schools. It was very kind of you, and the kids loved the activities that the teachers brought, the art activities and science activities, and there was just a lot going on, and it was obviously well thought out, and we thank you for everything you do, especially coming on the weekend, and it was beautiful, and it was just a nice event to be at too. We thank the township because it brings people together. It's really the first time in a long time that the whole community was together like that, and all the different foods, ethnic foods, rides. It was just a lovely event and a community event for all, so thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Anyone else? Dr. Valesky was at EB Day.
Yes, he was.
And there was a huge line of people every time I passed the booth waiting to speak with you.
They want to talk to my son.
Oh.
And by the way, he's available for loan. Anybody who wants to have children. He's a budding teenager who now We don't know why. He speaks British now all the time. And yeah, you're welcome to him anytime. Oh, yeah, British all the time.
I do.
Yeah, all the time.
I do want to add something, if I may. Just adding on for EB Day, I do want to point out, I was at the table at Human Relations Council with Lou Figueroa, and I have to say how impressed I was. So he's busy setting up there, and he sets up, and then he's engaging with the kids. And honestly, Lou, you were having a ball. And I was watching you, and I took a picture, and I sent it to Dr. Valesky, and I'm like, this is an example of East Brunswick administration. He was having a ball engaging with the kids. Then he finishes up, and he runs over to, I think he came over to help with the schools, set up, and just kind of all over the place. He was helping the tent across from us set up for a little while. It was just all over the place. And again, Lou is just an example of who we have in our staff, and just amazing.
Lou's having more kids. Having too good a time.
And I have to tell you, kids were lining up to talk to Dr. Valesky. I happened to see a couple of kids from Irwin. They were coming up, and he was like a rock star, that they saw Dr. Valesky. So it was so nice that to have such an experience. And honestly, they all wanted to meet him.
The high school kids do too, when we went to the high school. You'd stop in the hallway and they'd all come up.
And you didn't even have Carter,
No, there was no Carter then, that was all you.
the British invasion.
That's right.
Anybody else? Heather?
I actually wanted to comment on EB Day as well, although, I did see Dr. Valesky, and I had the opportunity to chat with Carter, which was amazing, really. But I wanted to talk about the robotics team, because I had the opportunity to meet them last summer. I was touring some of the buildings I hadn't gotten really to be in, and most of the buildings were empty. They were being cleaned, they were being set up, it was lovely. But I went to the high school, and we got onto one hall, and the high school was loud with children and hot. And what was it, 3 classrooms with kids? 3 classrooms filled with children from the robotics team working together with masks in the heat. And I was so impressed. And I was even more impressed, actually, they talked about their project with enthusiasm and passion and knowledge. And it was what I expected from our students, but I was happy to be met with it. What I didn't expect from our students was a very professional email that followed that, asking me to come visit again, asking if I had questions, following up. And I was so impressed with them then. And then I saw them at EB Day, and I stood and watched them for a moment, and it was just students. There were no adults telling them what to do. But the skills that they had that had nothing to do with robotics were just outstanding. I watched them watch the crowd, and as people stood and listened, they got up off their seats, approached them, and started talking to them about what their club did, what their goal was, why they were using the robots from previous years because of COVID, how they were modifying things. But the way that they interacted with the crowd, the way that they watched to see who would have questions, the way they sort of moved in, it was just skills that we don't put on the curriculum, but we so hope develop in our students. They had phenomenal interpersonal skills and skills that will take them far in the world of work. And I just wanted to share that. I've been so impressed with them every time I've come in contact with them. And kudos to their advisor.
Can we get them back for, okay.
I'm looking forward to having student representation at our board meetings and the activities that they're doing and performances and a variety of things. So, yeah, that's what we all miss. We do all this work, and we miss seeing what the children do, what our students can do, and how impressive they are. So, looking forward to bringing that back to board meetings.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we do have a need to go into closed session. Whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss matters as follows, those items listed in tonight's agenda. Whereas the length of the closed session is estimated to be 1 hour, after which the public of the meeting of the board shall reconvene and action may be taken. Can I please have a motion to go into closed? Move some, Jeff? Second. Liwu. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going into closed.